you have to be incredibly precise in your listings. You called them citations, and a citation is basically where someone like the Chamber of Commerce lists your business, and they may link to your website or they may not link to your website, but Google's still smart enough to know.
Welcome to Clicks and Bricks Podcast. We talk about the entrepreneur mindset.
If you get one shot at this, what kind of shot are you going to take?
If we forget who we are, they're going to forget who you are.
You've got an adversity story that's out of this world.
Everything from that Main Street brick and mortar to that billion-dollar manufacturer.
Absolutely. And I've got a couple of tips there. I've found that citations on other websites is a huge indicator on if I'm going to show up in that 3-pack, right? So that my name, email address, phone number consistently showing up on 30 or 40 different websites, these big index sites, has been, to me, a home run for that, getting in that Google 3-pack. How important is it? And I know a lot of business owners over time, right? If they've been doing this for a while, they've been open for 10, 15 years, they might have changed addresses or changed phone numbers even. How important is it to make sure that the data is consistent, like address and phone number, across every single platform on the internet? I'm talking about consistency across all platforms. So what I've seen a couple of times, and I've had businesses come to me and say, hey, people are calling the wrong number, or, what's going on? Or sometimes I see this search and I find that their directory listings aren't consistent.
Yeah, that's a great point. And it's probably the second biggest factor after the reviews in getting in that 3-pack on the maps. And we call it NAP in the industry, name, address, and phone. And you have to be incredibly precise in your listings. You called them citations. And a citation is basically where someone like the Chamber of Commerce lists your business, and they may link to your website or they may not link to your website. But Google's still smart enough to know that like 10 golden rules on Northwest 2nd Avenue in Boca Raton is the same www.10goldenrules.com.
Right.
And so that's a citation if there's not a direct link to the website. And so your point was extremely high value for people. What you want to do is you want to go out and audit to make sure there's a precise listing. So the worst thing is you could have, and we've seen this mess all the time, where people move locations and half the places out there are linked to the old location and half the places. So you got to go out there and clean that up. And there's some different services. We use Bright Local, but there's Local Viking and Yext that'll help you identify the 60 or 70 places that traditionally will link to your address. And then you've got to go and work with each of those locations, each of those individual websites, and make sure, like our company is called 10 Golden Rules. And it's very, very important that it's spelled out TEN Golden Rules. And then the next thing is we're on Northwest 2nd Avenue, and we're in Suite 106. But we've got to be incredibly consistent that, it's NW 2nd Avenue or it's Northwest 2nd Avenue. Pick one. And the best one to pick is the one in Google Maps already. Like your Google Maps listing is going to have a very precise name and address for your company. But even though this sounds like it's not that important, it's critically important for getting those map listings, which is, we've got to be suite, either spelled SUITE.
Always the
SUE,
same.
but it can't be number, and it can't be suite, and it can't be unit on 7 different places, because Google's a computer. It needs precision, and the more precision, the more maps listings.
Right. The way I like to explain it is a judge and a jury. If I go in and I'm telling the jury slightly different stories, I lose their trust. And if, in this case, Google is the jury, and if you lose their trust because you're giving it even slightly inconsistent, right? I put hyphens in the number here, and I put slashes in the phone number over here. Google's just going to say, you know what? Somebody's more consistent than you. I'm throwing you out, and I'm going to put them up to bat. And it's literally. So it's not easy to do. It's time consuming if it's out there and it's wrong to get it right. But I think it's when you get it right that the doors open up for you quite a bit. And
what did Kardashian say? If the address doesn't fit, you must have quit. Or no, I'm lifting too many shows there.
Yeah. So it is just so basic to do, and I think it's so widely overlooked. and that inconsistency because you've hired, 3 different employees over 5 years to do this for you, and this person uses something different. So having a brand template for your company, I think, is really important on how you list those things, and being methodical about how you do it is wildly important too. And I'm not saying that I've never made that mistake. I've probably made it more than most people, but it's a big one, and I think people can a lot of companies can turn around just by doing that one thing.
Yeah,
So,
huge win.
yes.
And the third one, if we should move on and
Yes.
be conscious of time, is really simple again. And I like to bring super simple strategies that anybody can do. And we do this for our lawyer clients, which is just answer the questions that your prospective customers, your prospects, and your customers are asking you all the time.
Yep.
And then turn that into digital content. And so the way we do it for our lawyers is we give them about a dozen questions every couple months, and we get them to answer those questions on video. So for our lawyer clients, it's like, what do I do if I'm in a car accident and I get hit by an Uber? Or, what do I do if I get hit in a car accident and the other driver doesn't have any insurance? And these are the kind of questions that folks are dealing with, in the aftermath of an accident, in the example of a personal injury lawyer. But, everybody has these questions, right? Like you and I get questions all the time. Does SEO really work? How do I get in the top 3 for local service ads? How do I get, my listing to show up in the Google Maps when, we're way better lawyers, internet marketers, doctors, Mexican restaurants than our competitors who are showing up in the maps. And so if you answer the questions you get asked all the time, you're providing really tremendous value in a lot of different ways. So the first super high value for that, we do these on video, and then we add 1 video per week to the client's YouTube site. And the purpose of that is that Google owns YouTube, and a lot of people search for answers for things like, how do I unclog my toilet? Or how do I get listed on the local service ads? Literally, we're showing up on YouTube searches. So by search engine optimizing first on YouTube, you're taking advantage of the fact that Google owns YouTube. YouTube has its own SEO, search engine optimization algorithm.
Yep.
And you want to put the question as the title of the video, and then in the description, put part of the answer. And so you're literally putting the question, which is what people are searching, right?
Right.
Like we all search things. They're queries. They're literally like, you don't search things you already know for the most part. You search things you want an answer to. Right. So first thing, we put it on YouTube, and then we also add it as a blog post, and we copy the YouTube embed code. And it's very simple. Now you've got a video on your website that anybody can watch on any device because it's literally running on YouTube, and YouTube's paying for the streaming. And then we write a little description about the video and the question and the answer. So now we've got 2 big wins. We've got search engine optimization on YouTube. We've got search engine optimization on the website. And it's super easy because for our clients, it only took half an hour to answer a couple questions that they answer all the time anyways. Now we take over, we do the video optimization, we do the SEO on the website, and then we also do what we call cascading content. And this is the 4th tip, where you take that existing content and you drop it in all the social media. So, and literally what you're doing is you're answering the questions that are on the tip of the tongue of all your prospects. So now the same video can go, we might reformat it and upload it as proprietary for Facebook and put it, horizontally and vertically, and put it on TikTok, etc. But essentially the client's time is really easy, just answering the question. And then we take advantage of the SEO and put it on all the social media. And as we mentioned earlier, those videos are also going to go on Google Maps.
Absolutely. And I've got one little hack to that at the very end of all of that. If you take that video that answers a question and you go to Quora and you go to Reddit and you find people asking that question, then you can also post. You can't just post the video on Reddit. You got to actually contribute if you're going to do this. And it is more time consuming. You're going to have to contribute to Reddit, but then also you can drop that link in where people are asking the question specifically would be another, and that would be after everything you said for the best practices, right? That would be getting a little bit more fuel on your fire.
Yeah.
But I think that
Thank you.
that approach is
That's
brilliant.
a great suggestion, and I think my team started trying to do that. So that's a great best practice.
I tell people all the time, if you're starting a business, one of the first things you should probably do is go to Quora and just look and see what questions people are asking about that business and start solving those problems that they're asking for right there, right? If you're not solving somebody's problem, then you're not going to be. It's going to be a tough business to get launched. You're not solving a specific problem. So, and Quora is filled with problems, right? All day long. So, I like that as a SEO strategy quite a bit, actually. So, all right. So now the fifth tip is, and I did 10, just 5.
Yeah, the 10 golden rules guy. You got to leave them wanting more, right? So we're only doing 5 today, but I also learned the hard way when I always tried to do 10. It just takes a long time. So
yes.
I've done a million presentations, like 10 ways to do SEO, and 10 ways to do a podcast, and 10 ways to succeed on Facebook. But the fifth tip is a really interesting opportunity for folks, because if you can have your own book or your own ebook, particularly for a small business, you become a next level expert. And my book's right behind me here, the 10 Golden Rules of Online Marketing. And I can't tell you how many times folks have sent a recommendation to someone and said, you've got to talk to Jay Berkowitz. He's the guy who wrote the book. Right. And my new book's coming out called Advanced Internet Marketing for Law Firms. And I'll have the same opportunity where I'll have new content, and be positioned as an expert in my industry. But here's the really simple tip that anybody can use to have their own book. And what you do is you follow the earlier strategy, where you write down the 10 or 15 or 20 questions that you get asked all the time. Just keep a list for a couple of weeks, and it'll become abundantly clear that, wow, people do ask me the same question over and over and over. Take those 10 questions or 15 questions or 20 questions and think of it as the table of contents for your new ebook. And we're going to start with an ebook. It's a little easier than writing the full book. And then literally answer those 10 questions over the next 10 weeks. And do it, as we said, in the form of a video, or if you're not comfortable on video, it can be in a blog post. And it's equally almost as valuable to get that content on your website, because literally people are coming to your website for answers to the questions that your business solves. Right. Like this is not irrelevant content. This is absolutely the most relevant content, because if you answer people's questions and explain how you all solve their problems, that's the best content for your website anyways. Then what you're going to do is you're going to proactively write your table of contents. Here's the next 10 articles, blogs, or videos I'm going to produce. Produce one a week for 10 weeks. Then take those 10 questions and go to this website called Fiverr, Fiver. And for $5, you can literally get someone to create the cover of your ebook, and they can create, for another $5, someone will actually format it into an ebook that's a downloadable PDF on your website. Yeah. So now you've gone to an even higher level, right? You're answering the questions that people are asking on your website, but now you're going to compile them and say, here's the, we'll use the example of the law firm. Like, here's the top 10 things to do after a car accident, or, here's the 10 things you need to know if the insurance company doesn't want to pay for your injuries and your car damage. And you literally just answer those 10 questions in the form of 10 videos or 10 blog posts, compile it into an ebook. And now when people come to your website, like let's say they're just doing research, like if they weren't the one in the accident, but their aunt was the one in the accident, they might download that ebook. So now you've got another opportunity to get a conversion. And these ebooks are awesome to use in retargeting that we talked about earlier. People come to your website, they don't sign up, and now they see this ebook everywhere they go for 2 weeks. There's a pretty, high likelihood that if, they're looking for any type of business answer we talked about earlier, that they're going to, if they didn't grab your ebook on the first visit to your website, they'll grab it later on in the remarketing. But now you're an author, you'll get speaking opportunities, personal branding opportunities, all the
Right.
dozens of other reasons to have a book. That's my simple solution for getting your ebook or your book underway.
I love that recommendation to get a book written, and I've written a couple books. I published one. I'm not going to talk about it today. But so you've got a really affordable methodology to get an ebook written. And once your ebook's written, getting it to Amazon self-publishing is pretty simple, right?
Yeah.
Especially for download ebooks. Now on the other side, on the super cheap way to do it or fast way to do it would be a PLR book. Would you recommend that to people or stay away from those?
Why don't you take that one, because I'm not familiar with the PLR terminology.
So PLR is public licensing rights, and you can buy these books they're pre-written books, and you can relabel them and resell them for, you can buy them for $5 or $6, and typically you can give them away, right? That's the super fast way, and you can go to, I think, I'm not going to get paid on this, so I can't believe I'm saying it out loud, is plr.me is a place that I buy PLRs. I buy them and send them to Fiverr and have them rewritten in my kind of language, or actually I'm using AI bots now to kind of rewrite them, which is fun. So I think PLR is a great way to do it if you struggle with coming up with original content, but edit them. Don't just publish them as the same content. And we could talk about why publishing the identical content is bad on the internet. Yeah. And then the other side of that.
That's why I like your rewrite strategy. That's great.
Yes. On the other side of that, I'm talking with publishers that are $50,000 to $100,000 to have to write a book with you. So, I think your 10-week process to have a book written is a beautiful recommendation for folks that are struggling to get that done, because I think the other side of the cheap PLR is kind of garbage, and not everybody's got $50,000 to $100,000 to jump into that boat. So thank you for that. I think that's great.
This book back here, it's called 10 Free Strategies for Internet Marketing. I was thinking about that this morning, actually, because I wrote that during the recession in 2008, 2009.
Right.
And so many folks were looking for, ways to market their business with no budget or a limited budget. Right. And I spoke at the Marketing Association. I wrote this presentation, and then there was such great reception that I turned it into, relative little ebook, same kind of thing. Like, I really wrote those 10 simple strategies, ways to get SEO and Google Maps, some of the things we've talked about today. And then I just compiled it into a CreateSpace book. Amazon bought CreateSpace, but literally it's printed on demand. It's still available on the internet today, but that's like the next level but I think I had that cover design on Fiverr or it's called Elance. It's called Upwork today, but literally you can get someone to do a beautiful book design, the spine, the back of the book, etc. Same thing. I mean, my new book, was designed on Fiverr, and we've got a beautiful book design for advanced internet marketing for law firms.
Wonderful. I love it. It's the book methodology is a great way to go down the path. I think most marketers will say today to give your book away. Don't try to sell it. And it's a lead source to get out there and build recognition. You put a lot of work into a book. I don't know. I think 99 cents is a reasonable number to ask for an ebook. And I pay $12 regularly for ebooks. So
yeah,
all across the board.
There's a lot of different philosophies on that. But I'm thinking my new book, we're going to give it away to a lot of lawyers, conferences and speaking events and stuff like that. But I'm kind of thinking I'm going to put it for like $79 on Amazon to have high perceived value. And
I love it. Yes. Perceived value is huge, right? I mean, if you, not to go way off topic because we're going to wrap up here, but just really quickly, can you tell the audience about, do you have any experience on people chasing the price down to the bottom, like competing on price? Yeah,
I mean, again, like I've seen dozens of studies. I think it's Robert Cialdini's book, influence the battle for your mind or whatever.
Right.
But there's dozens of examples of a higher price winning out in the marketplace. And I think the example in Cialdini's book is a woman owned a store, and she was going away for the weekend, and she asked her young employee to get rid of the scarves or whatever the product was. And she's like, she was running out the door. She's like, make them like $17 or something. And the girl heard her incorrectly and priced it at $117. And the woman came back and she was so happy because all the scarves sold that weekend, but she couldn't believe they sold for $117 instead of $17, whatever the actual number was. So, that same Cialdini had dozens of examples of that same philosophy, where, if you price yourself too low. As a matter of fact, I went to a big law firm and I went in with our standard sort of package, and they were kind of like, you don't understand our business. There's no way you can do the amount of work that is required to move the needle, because our current agency is doing a blog post every day. And we didn't understand that there was a tremendous amount of work that they were expecting, and we definitely priced that job too low.
Right. Wonderful. Jay, thank you so much for your time today. Do you have anything you'd like to leave the audience with before we go?
No, I think, the last thing is just to please find me at 10goldenrules.com or Jay Berkowitz, just as it sounds phonetically. I've been fortunate enough to uncover the new social media before some much more important Jay Berkowitzes. There's a Professor Jay Berkowitz and there's a Dr. Jay Berkowitz, and I always beat them to the punch on Twitter and LinkedIn and whatnot. But please connect with me on LinkedIn, and if you're listening to this sometime in 2023 or 2024, please come say hi on social media. I always like the Back to the Future.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today, Jay. I had a great time. I hope to talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Ken. You were great.
That's it for today's show, folks. If you'd like to join my text line community, the number is 314-370-2871. All you have to do to join that text line is send me any question about business or technology. I'll do all the research, and I'll give you an absolutely free, totally unbiased answer. Get to work.